serendipity, but I was watching a video from Look Mum No Computer where he had an interview with the guy who took over the Music from Outer Space franchise, if you like. I've made a few modules from them, the sample and hold, couple of LFOs, and my creme de la creme, the sequencer, which I even made a PCB front panel to fit into Eurorack format. And in the same vein, we have Yusynth, who also is an excellent resource for designing and helping you build your own modular from scratch. I'll put a link below. My claim to fame is helping fix the problem that we had with the Sonic Multiply Ring Mod oscillator. So this is the Music from Outer Space website, an absolute gem. Ray Wilson, legend. Well, there's nothing more to say about that really. But what I really wanted to bring to light is if we click on the Synth DIY section, and you'll find down here, I know it's quite a long list, so much stuff, but eventually you will get to the path to your MFOS modular virtual Opamp lab. And this is fantastic, so you can test out non-inverting op amps. We can change the gains of resistors and you can see what happens to the signals. And we also have inverting op amps with bias adjustment, which is what I want to show in real life with my decade resistor boxes in a second, and also comparators. So such a fantastic resource. I just thought I had to bring this to light. And now on with the show. Okay, so we're going to try the same principle as the calculator, except we're going to use my decade resistor box, which I had made by PCBway.com, and it utilises 0.1 ohm resistor tolerance with a 25 ppm on each unit there. First of all, we'll need to bring power to the breadboard, so I have my positive 12 volts, the ground, and the negative 12 volts. And we're going to need to bring an audio signal in, so we're going to bring that thing my function generator. We're going to use a TL072 for this, so let's put the TL072 in, and we can see that pin 8 is the positive volts. And we can see that pin 4 is the negative volts. So now we've that's all we need to know from here. It also tells you the pin outs for which parts of the op amp we're using. So this is the circuit we need to build. Signal comes in through here, through a 100k resistor and into pin 2. So we use our first decade resistor box, which needs to be set to just 100k. And then we'll take from where that signal was coming in, and that will go into pin 2 of the op amp. Now we have the feedback circuit, so from pin 2 to pin 1 we have 100k. We're going to use this one for the feedback, and we just set that to 100k. And that goes to pin 1 and pin 2. And then we have the start of the biasing circuit, so as we're going to want to raise it up above 0 volts, we're going to need to connect one end of a meg ohm resistor to the 12 volts coming into pin 3 of the op amp. Now my decade resistor box doesn't quite go up to 1 meg, but it goes up to 99999, so we're just 10 ohms short of 1 meg, which in the scheme of things is not a lot. So for this, one end will go up to the plus 12 volts, and the other end will go to pin 3. And to finish off this circuit, we have a 1K resistor coming from pin 3 and going to ground. So I called this the bias resistor, which we're going to set to 1K. Which goes to pin 3 to the ground. Okay, let's see if we can turn it on now and see what we get on the scope. So we're going to take a test probe and we're going to probe the input. And we'll take the second channel, and because we know the output is on pin 1, I'm going to connect this scope probe to pin 1. And as expected, we have an inverted output. Obviously this is because we're connected to the inverted input. The output, which is in blue, is in the opposite phase. So what happens if we start changing the resistors? So let's start with the feedback resistor. At the moment that's set to 100k. So if we go to 200k, we can see we can increase the signal. But we want to go down, so let's go to, that's 60k. So we can see how changing that feedback resistor also changes the gain. We can go quite massive, and that's starting to clip the power rails now. So that would be unity gain at 100k. So we want to reduce that, and let's say if I put my cursors on and we want to select the cursor A, 3.3 volts would be around there. Let's set the cursor B to be 0 volts. So if we want to fit our initial waveform into this 0 to 3.3.5, we need to raise the output signal up. So by changing the bias, you can see we can change, that was in 10k steps. Let's go to 100k. Oh, and we're almost there. Now we really need a higher resolution, so let's zoom in on this second channel. And we want this second channel to be sourced. There we go. So when we go back to the cursor, that is 3.3 volts. So we should reduce the gain a little bit, and now we can move it up. And now we can see we have our originally a 10 volt peak to peak signal coming in now at 3.12 peak to peak, and our micro will be nice and safe and happy. Okay, that's all very well, but right now the signal's inverted, so we will just put it through another inversion Opamp with 200k resistors, and we just switch off the power supply. And now the signal from the first Opamp is going to come in to this first 100k resistor to go into pin 6. and we have a 100k resistor on the feedback loop. And we also have to ground pin 5. And now the output that we need to check is on pin 7. Okay, let's turn the power on. Right, so as you can see, because it's inverted has actually inverted the signal to the negative voltage rail. So a really quick way that we can remedy this is that we take the 12 volts that we have here and connect that to the negative voltage rail. So on the 1 meg resistor, instead of coming from the positive, we shall come from the negative. Because obviously that needs to be inverted as well. And there we have now our signal completely in phase and fitting within our 0 to 3.3 volt scale input that a microprocessor might have. So I hope that was of some use, and do check out the Music from Outer Space calculator. It's truly, if you're into this sort of thing, can save you so much time and having to get resistors out the doors, etc, etc. Anyway, catch you next time.